Will Portland see double-digit price reductions, as some people are predicting nationally?
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. We are the Hatch Homes Group, and it's our Monday housing market update. Before we get into this article, we want you to like and subscribe if you are enjoying what you're seeing every week from us. So let's start out with this article that we all broke down. Pretty heavy stuff we're all feeling in the market right now, but it's Realtor.com just put out this article with leading economists that are predicting the following. All right, brace yourself. Double-digit price reductions nationally. The Fed throwing housing under the bus, which will force prices down. Cities that showed the biggest gain through this pandemic will show the steepest decline in prices. And with that, they're also predicting low foreclosure, which is huge, which is good, low inventory, and less sales just overall. So since these are national statistics, we really wanted to break these huge things down through the filter of the Portland market and how Portland's kind of a little bit different. So we have to use that when we're looking at these articles.
Yeah, there's actually three things that make Portland a little bit different than a lot of other parts in this nation. We actually have the Oregon growth boundary. So like lots of Trek homes just plopping up everywhere. Is just not going to happen. You're not going to go buy a bunch of acreage outside of Portland and put up a ton of houses easily. We are, number two, we are still the most affordable major West Coast city by far. So people from like the Bay Area or Bellevue area up near Seattle are liking our prices comparatively. And then number three, we still have a lot of room to grow industry-wise. Like we have Nike, we have Intel. There's some major corporations that employ a lot of people around here. And that seems to be growing. There seems to be a lot of other interest. And that's from the Hillsborough side all the way over towards like Gresham and Troutdale and everywhere in between. So still a lot of room to grow.
So the first issue that we want to tackle from this article we read is the following quote by Jerome Powell. He says, "The red-hot housing market will likely have to go through a correction as housing prices were going up at an unsustainably fast level." Yes, we have been seeing this for months, and to be clear, all of us were feeling like something had to stop the crazy train we were on. We were seeing multiple offers getting so out of control that we were definitely questioning the sustainability of that kind of insanity. And so we are seeing a correction in the Portland market, and it's also combined with an overall seasonal correction. So we are seeing those things happening more in particular pockets in Portland, not Portland overall. So there are little pockets of corrections in the Portland area, but overall Portland isn't seeing a huge correction. But here are the trends that we're seeing here.
So some homes in Portland are still selling within days and some with multiple offers. And so here's what we see with these homes that are selling quickly. First of all, they're priced aggressively. Secondly, they're in areas that are continuing to improve and are still hot areas. And thirdly, they're in neighborhoods where inventory is low and the price points are lower. And the fourth thing is they're dialed in, they're staged, cleaned, well presented, they have good marketing, and they're appealing to a lot of buyers. There are, however, some areas that have been going down. We've seen homeless camps affect prices and trouble areas affect prices. So it doesn't, and some price brackets are different to others, but that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I think that some of these things are really nuanced. Like, for instance, if you're under 500,000 on the west side versus under 500 on like the deep east side, there's a huge difference in inventory. And so that's going to affect your longer days on market. And then, you know, like I've noticed that if you have like one thing against you, like you're on a busier street, or you have some kind of road noise in the distance, it just makes your days on market just a lot longer, even in low inventory areas. It's super nuanced.
Yep.
Yeah. So Portland's obviously not going to like be immune to any of these things, but because of those three things we were talking about, it's a little too early to tell how affected Portland will be, because there are just like that, the homes that in the areas that kind of we see a little bit downward trend in pricing or a lot of reductions, but then there's also the areas where the homes are still going above ask by maybe not as much, but by a little bit. So a little bit of give and take.
So the article continues to say this, and I'm going to read the quote. It says, "Buckle up. Home prices are expected to fall. Whether the nation succumbs to a recession or not, buyers simply can't afford the giant price tags plus the highest mortgage rates in 15 years. There's going to be a coast-to-coast downturn in the housing market. It's going to be brutal," says economist Zandi. "No part of the market is immune." So they're all very, very scary, dramatic, right? So places that experienced the biggest run-ups in prices during COVID-19 pandemic, with the most investors bidding them up further, will see the steepest declines, says that real estate expert. So vacation areas will likely see larger declines, as fewer buyers are likely to buy second homes during the economic downturn. Areas with lots of new construction, smaller cities, or further out suburbs could also take a big hit. And we see those trends a bit, like especially in the vacation home market. We've already seen that slow down substantially, which completely makes sense when, second home vacation interest rates are even a point higher than what, owner occupieds are right now. So that plays a big part as well.
So Portland's not going to be immune to anything going on in the world. But because of those three things we were talking about, we think it's a little too early to say just how affected Portland will be. There are those neighborhoods in those areas that we see some downward trends, just like there are the areas where we still see the upward trends and still see going over ask by a little bit. But people aren't really selling their houses now unless like they have to, unless life is kind of forcing that hand. And so with low inventory and people not having to sell, that will protect prices.
And sellers aren't going to drop prices unless they have to, especially as they just watched their neighbors' homes sell for record prices just a few months ago. So while about 19.5% of sellers cut their prices in September, a percentage that has been steadily ticking up, the majority of sellers are holding firm on their bottom line.
Yep, seen that a lot.
Yeah, and don't expect another wave of foreclosures like we had in 2008. We have too many people that have got good equity in their homes. We have a low inventory. Circumstances are way different. And if we have a deep recession, sure, there's some people are going to lose jobs and be forced or are going to sell, but it's not going to be a flood of foreclosures. The other thing I want to point out is a lot of the hype we see is they're sort of taking problem areas like Boise, Idaho, where they have this huge, great flood of people relocating during the pandemic, and now the prices have got super inflated and have come down dramatically. That's not the situation for Portland and a lot of other areas. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so this article brings up so many good points and so many interesting things that we're watching. It does try to end on a positive note. It said one bright spot for the housing market is if the nation does fall into a recession, the Fed is likely to cut rates again to stimulate the economy. And that will likely lead to rates to fall again. As we know, there's a lot of people right now that are kind of banking on rates to fall again, buying houses with the 2-1 buy down, all the things that we kind of talk about every week on this. But with that bright spot, Zandi continues to say, whether we go into a recession or not, it's going to be uncomfortable. And I just want to say that we've already felt the uncomfortableness of this market. Like it's shifted very, very quickly. But we can work through uncomfortable by knowing facts and studying trends like this and really understanding how Portland market is different from others. But I also want to point out that the last market of this insane boom was very uncomfortable for buyers. The only thing comfortable for buyers in that last market was interest rates. Interest rates were great, free money, basically. But there's a lot to say that the market, the uncomfortable market that we are moving into could actually benefit buyers. So we'll leave it on that. If you want to talk more, please reach out to us. We're here. And remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.